What was the last year-ish like for you? Being out with injury, the stuff goes
Mhm.
down it all out, you're away from TV for a while. What
Yeah.
was that like for you, kind of just being removed from everything? What were, like, the ups and downs of that?
Mm.
Answer how you want, we can cut what you need, up to you.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
you want.
No, I mean, I'll just be honest then. So I'd felt that I think it was something like, geez, I did the math on it. It was like in 11 years, maybe more. The most time I'd taken off at one point in time was 17 days for my knee surgery. So to have all these injuries accumulate and get to a point where, yeah, I could figure out ways to do what I needed to do in the ring, but I thought, man, we are up to multiple procedures now that I need to get done.
What were
Yeah,
all the procedures?
what were they?
Yeah.
So I had to get both my knees done. I had to get a shoulder done. I had to get my septum fixed, and then they get a stomach hernia,
Holy
all
shit.
surgically. Yeah, so there's a lot.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. So knowing that I had to get all those things done, and that they were all luckily in a state where, well, it felt like they were more minor surgeries. It felt like it, but I ended up being out for about like 8 months. Um, but I felt like the company was in a fantastic position, and I'd felt that the story that I was able to tell with Hangman was one one that I was very proud of,
Mhm.
and I felt that the people were behind him, and I was happy that we were moving forward in a direction that didn't necessarily require me. I felt that now is a good time to get this stuff taken care of. And then I felt like 8 months had passed and it was time to come back. And it was kind of like the GIF, of the dude walking in with the pizza boxes and the whole room's on fire.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 And I didn't get it. I was like, what's with this strange atmosphere?
Mm.
What's with this strange aura? Why does something feel so ominous right now? And I didn't even know. I couldn't figure it out. And next you knew, there was more stuff happening. And I'm like, how? And again, like it's so surreal because it's almost like it never even happened. It happened, of course it happened, but I wasn't even I hadn't even gotten like familiar with my surroundings yet or refamiliarized
Yeah.
backstage with the new AEW at that point. Because I mean, there are new people in the locker room, um, and a lot had happened in 8 months. So to kind of come back and see a lot of old faces and be like, oh hey, but then feel this eerie sort of, to feel like I was in Erie, Indiana for a second. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And then stranger things started happening where I was like, oh man, what do I do? What is this isn't right. Someone needs to be the voice of reason. This is silly. And it's just like things fell off the rails and we were just involved in a very silly situation that
Yeah.
people are probably going to be talking about for months and
That
possibly years to
Does
come. I
that
don't
bother
know.
you that people are gonna be talking about that for so long and sort of like the question mark about that? Do you wish, like, I mean, I'm sure it would just be nice to sweep it under the rug and kind of it is what it is, but we live in a world where everyone has these little nuggets of information and are trying to
Yeah.
connect the dots on things, but
Yeah. I mean, here's the way that I look at it. Like I've been involved in competitive sports, contact sports, at the highest level. And some people on our roster have, some people on our roster have not.
Mhm.
But I feel like if you have, you've probably been in a spat or two with a teammate, and maybe sometimes a time or two, it might come to blows. It happens. So again, like coming from that sort of background, there was a point to it all when I felt like, oh, this just happens. We're going to get over it. Let's just calm down and talk it over. No,
Yeah.
nothing is we're all doing okay here. This
Yeah.
is, we're getting it out of our system, no problem, but let's maybe stop, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and just in the end of things, there were it's just, we just don't live in that world anymore, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's sometimes there are things, especially now when you're in a multi-million billion dollar industry where there are sponsorships on the line, TV deals on the line. It's not like
It's not the
it's not
Wild
like
West
playing.
anymore. Yeah.
No, it's not. And it's not high school football. It's not a little tip that you might have with someone on your fellow amateur wrestling team or whatever, or maybe someone held a submission too long in jiu-jitsu training. It's not that. And these things just shouldn't even be happening. So again, super big shame. Sucks. I can understand all the various viewpoints. It's a shame that the general public and a lot of people aren't ever going to know exactly
Yeah.
how it went down, what
Yeah.
went down, and how it could have been prevented or how it could have, ended differently. But that's just sort of how things go. Again, when it's a big business operation. But I think if anything, the important part is that I don't think anyone is happy that it happened or is proud that it happened or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um I think across the board, everyone thinks it was a terrible situation that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Do you feel like since that
Mhm.
atmosphere backstage has somewhat cleared up?
Yeah, no, I really do. There was a while when, and I can understand the confusion. It's sort of like, hey, we know this thing happened. We heard this thing happen. It's all over the dirt sheets.
Yeah.
Why don't we know what happened?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're gone and we're kind of sworn to secrecy. We can't say anything legally,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just like, I felt bad for the people that had to be kept in the dark because of the sort of sensitive nature of it and the legalities of it. So
Yeah.
that was the poopy part where I was like, well, why doesn't anyone tell us what's happening? And then
Yeah.
you're forced to form your own opinion or to come up with your own theory as to what exactly happened.
Which can be a
And
doozy when left to your own devices,
of
right?
course, and especially
Yeah.
when it's like, well, I'm more of a fan of one person than the other. So here's the way I'm going to create the story so that it puts this person in the best possible light.
Yeah.
When it might be that, chances are it's something else,
Yeah.
or it might be a combination of various theories. And we might never get to speak about it.
Yeah.
But what's important is that there was no one that was seriously injured emerging from that. And I'm so thankful from that.
Mhm.
And I mean, we've moved on with life. I'm completely fine. It doesn't dictate what I do, what I say. I'm sure the Bucks are in the same boat. I can't speak to the other parties. Hopefully they are doing well, and I mean that. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. We move on.
Yeah.
We move on.